Hey guys, welcome to the fourth game, which is actually being played second in order here, because waiting for the 2v2 player to show up, as well as the, I think Cord might actually end up being subbed for Perfection in game 2. Anyway, this is going to be between Eve and Typhoon. We have Eve starting in the upper right-hand corner. I'm sorry, Typhoon starting in the upper right-hand corner in yellow. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have Eve in brown. And this is going to be awesome. Really quick, Gosu Hair Shop. Special shout-out to Nrg.eve there. And he apparently buys nasty beer. I'm going to have to take him off the friends list now because it keeps showing. Actually, I don't mind because it's Yankee League. It's lighthearted. Anyway, this is going to be some sweet Zerg versus Zerg. Should be very fun considering it's on Blue Storm. And I've seen some great Zerg versus Zerg on Blue Storm, particularly at this level. I'm not sure why when it's pro gamers it sucks here, but when it's really high level or foreigner play, it just tends to be awesome gameplay. I'm not sure why that is. Anyway. Looks like both players saving up. I'm going to assume they're both going for some sort of 12 build, because I'm seeing the Overlord being produced, which really surprises me. And now a drone scout being sent out, so it's probably going to be a 12 hatch. A 12 pool on either side. Would be very surprised to see a 12 hatch. First drone scout pushing out from Eve, so Eve getting that early scouting, going to have that early scouting advantage and starting to push it up in the middle of the field now. So the Overlord's been produced, and additional drones being produced on the opposite end not even seeing an overpool. So we are and a drone coming out. We might in fact see a 12 pool. No, I'm sorry, it is a 12 hatch. No, we are seeing a 12 pool. That very much surprised me. I saw the drone headed towards the secondary. Kind of freaked me out. So it looks like on both sides we probably are going to see, yes, a 12 pool. Gas going down quite a bit later, actually, for Eve. And I still don't see a pool on his side of the field, actually. He's still hasn't put down a spawning pool. Now putting the spawning pool down. It'll be later, but not terribly much later. You probably got an additional drone or two in there, which is really, drones, just a couple drones can really decide the game, actually, Zerg versus Zerg. Anyway, continuing, and he's now looks like he might actually be going for a proxy Sunken Colony. It looks like for the moment he was thinking about putting down that Sunken Colony, but no, it looks like he's going to back off that drone scout now and make sure it stays. No, he's kind of examining. I'm not sure what he's doing with that. Now a second hatchery going down very quickly, so it looks like it's going to be an all Zergling game for Typhoon. So Typhoon's just going to pump the Zerglings, probably speed Zerglings, try to end it early. On the opposite side, we'll see what Eve decides to do. If Eve can put up a good defense, though, as soon as he gets the lair, he'll be in a strong position. But no, he's putting down a second hatchery as well. So it's going to be a big micro-on-micro game. In the meantime, he's been pumping, I think, a lot more drones. His larva count is a bit smaller at this point. And we'll see if he can manage to get that drone scout back around. That drone scout's been hanging out near the secondary. Looks like that Overlord now starting to push out. Actually, no, looks like the drone's already been brought back all the way back to his own base. That Overlord scout bringing in. Very clever by Typhoon. He's going to bring the Zerglings to the very top of his base. He's going to wait for that Overlord to push through. No, he's going to gather it up now. He's waiting a little bit too long. Looks like he was going to try to hide those Zerglings for a minute. But now it looks like he's just gathering them under the Overlord for some reason, blocking his gap somewhat, and it looks like an evolution chamber also going down fairly early. And now a tech to layer on the opposite side, so no evolution chamber, but a tech to layer by Eve. So Eve still might be able to get those Mutalisks out in the air. Might get an advantage from it, but if we see a spore colony up early by Typhoon, that could obviously even things up. Very interesting, and it looks like he is in fact dedicating all Zerglings here. Just going to wait for that speed upgrade most likely before he brings those Zerglings out in the field. But he has stopped mining gas. Even in the meantime, continually mining gas. He's got a couple Zerglings out in the field. He has a second Overlord coming up, knowing he can bring as many Overlords up as he wants. Since Typhoon isn't teching the lair at this point, he doesn't have to worry about any anti-air at the moment. A lot of Zerglings being piled at the secondary, basically at that gap, so he doesn't I guess he doesn't want anything breaking through in the meantime, or just maybe making sure Zergling scouts aren't coming through on the ground. I'm surprised that first Overlord actually hasn't pushed up any further to see what was going on. And now a little bit, just a single drone mining gas in the background. I'm going to assume that's for either Weapons 1, I've got to assume actually it's for Weapons 1 for those Zerglings, and a lot more Zerglings being produced for Eve also. I'm surprised Eve actually isn't just keeping some resources in. His lair is up. I don't see a spire down in the meantime. Looks like he's also got an idle drone. Now the spire going down. Sorry, no, a creep colony going down. 2 creep colonies going down. So making sure he's in a good defensive position before getting that spire down. to basically tech up from that point. He's also producing a lot of additional zerglings on the ground, but I gotta assume that weapons won, and now both overlords hovering over Typhoon's base for Eve, so he's got actually just a single overlord. That's an overlord of Typhoons underneath. It's kind of masked in color. I was kind of surprised by that, actually. I was like, why did he bring 2 back there? Anyway, but a lot of zerglings in the meantime piled at the secondary, but Eve has a good spot on those numbers, and he actually looks like he's got about equal numbers of zerglings. Surprised he isn't creating a little more of a defensive position now. He's starting to fan them out a little bit. He's got 3 creep colonies going down in the back of his base, and he still hasn't put down that spire, which very much surprises me at this stage in the game. He's still got 1 drone mining gas, but really, what is he going to do with that gas? And still, again, no spire. Typhoon, in the meantime, has his zerglings. Looks like he's grouping them up, so he's probably going to go down for an attack momentarily. He's taking to lair now as well, and my guess is his weapons 1 is just a few seconds off, and now bringing the zerglings down. They are speed upgraded. I'm going to assume that Eve has speed upgraded zerglings at this point as well. Yes, his are also speed upgraded. He's going to bring his zerglings back and surround them around the sunken colonies, and now that spire going down. So essentially, but that overlord pushing up as well. So Eve in a very, very, very strong defensive position. Very, very strong defensive position. We'll see if any sunken colonies go down, or I'm sorry, spore colonies go down in the meantime. A lot of zerglings surrounding all of those sunken colonies, and it looks like Typhoon just gathering up a ton of zerglings outside of his base. Looks like almost 3 control groups full, I'm going to assume at this point. And it looks like in 3 control groups, in fact. And just going to push down momentarily as soon as he feels secure, but he's going to be running into 3 sunken colonies and a bunch of zerglings surrounding that. So it looks like he's going to bring down some additional zerglings, probably a 4th control group. Not quite a full control group, but still bring more zerglings down just to support, and he needs to hurry up because the spire's going to be done in not too long, and if they just sit there, they're going to get hammered by them, basically by looks like 6 mulisks that'll be able to produce not too long from now. Now he's going to push in. He's going to go try to mix it up, but there's again 3 sunken colonies there, still a lot of zerglings in defense. Going to go for the outward hatchery. Just couldn't let that 4th creep colony going up, knowing it was going to be too much. Pushing in now, but it looks like Eve might be able to hold, but still 1 control group left, but still 2 sunken colonies down and a 3rd sunken colony going up. A lot of drones still alive. It looks like there's just about 6 drones alive and that 1 sunken colony left. We'll see if they can push around to do it, but in the meantime, looks like Eve's base a little bit in tatters. He's only got 3 drones left, and it looks like there's 6 zerglings left inside of his base. We'll see if there's more zerglings being produced backside. Yeah, and more zerglings going to be flooded down, and Scourge being produced in the meantime. That's a brilliant maneuver by Eve, knowing that he can't produce a lot of zerglings here. He's not going to have a lot of resources in the meantime. He's going to try to take down as many overlords as possible and make sure that Typhoon, in the meantime, just can't keep producing those zerglings. They're headed across the map. It looks like, this might be it though. It looks like there's about 8 zerglings headed down. Sorry, 7 zerglings heading down. They are now outside of his base, and there's that single sunken colony around the backside. And I don't think they're just 2 zerglings and a single sunken colony to defend. I would actually put those zerglings right behind that sunken colony in the meantime, and maybe actually pull those drones back. He's got to see it, and more zerglings pushing down. So Typhoon actually looks like he might be able to take this game down. Now bringing those zerglings up in a very strong position, drone in position as well as those, and just dancing those drones around. Looks like basically, and that sunken colony completely exposed to about 3 zerglings. More can funnel through, and there's only there's GG from Eve. Eve just couldn't keep up against the constant zergling pounding. So Typhoon taking it down with just pure zerglings, a ton of pure zerglings, and I think Eve would have been a little bit, drop act. I think Eve would have been a little bit more suited going to basically spire a little bit quickly as opposed to the sunken colonies. But going for kind of a halfway thing, going for both the Spire and the Sun Colonies, getting that second hatchery down fairly early as well, and ends up costing him, Typhoon, with a nice, huge mass zergling attack and some good micro actually in the midst to take down the Sun Colonies, and a lot of drones just left Eve's bases in tatters. So anyway, I guess I won't let you guys watch the rest of this countdown. I'm at about 10 seconds here for the people listening in. Special thanks again, you can go to bwusa.org to check out all the action that's going on. And again, I'm here Wednesdays, Op Yankee 1. And I think Psionic does Thursdays as well, and I think Xeris has gotten casting out. Anyway, special thanks to Eve and Typhoon for letting me listen in, and of course Nrg and Shock for letting me sit in and cast. And thanks for listening, guys.